Well, hello everybody, and once again, welcome to my channel. I took a few days off. This week has been brutal. A lot of purging, a lot of downloading. I was down and out for last Friday. There was a lot of purging going on. So last Friday I had the chills and the body aches. And then this week, Tuesday through Thursday, I had a migraine. I mean, it was just like Wednesday night. It's like, okay, so if I die tonight, that's okay. I just want to be done and over with this pain. And but usually, when I go through a series of migraines that last more than a day, it usually means that I'm going through a lot of downloading. And I try to tell them to be a little bit easier on me, but usually in the back of my mind, I'm going, oh, no pain, no gain. So usually they hit me pretty hard. But this morning, I hit the ground running and I'm raring and ready to go again. And so today, I wanted to talk to you about how do you know that you're in the fifth dimension, or how do you know you're on your way, and how do you know that you are actually embodying this ascension process, and your work is, you are feeling the fruits of your labor. We all talk about do the work, do the work, do the work, but how do you really know you've been doing the work? And for those of you who have been doing it on their own, hey, kudos, great. Maybe you can start helping people out there, teaching people and helping them. And I just wanted to start out by saying that I work through heart math, and this is such a beautiful, beautiful process that you can go through working with heart math. And it has many, many, many layers, and it goes as deep down the rabbit hole as the person that is going through this process wants to go. You can start out with just typical helping to be resilient from stress, all the way to learning from your heart what your heart's true desire is, what you were really meant to do when you came down here on this planet. Now, your heart's desire is a lot different than what your brain is telling you. And so many of us are running around spinning our wheels because we're listening to the brain and we're not connected to our heart center. We're not working from the heart. And so, we're always trying these things, and it's like, I tried this and I tried that, and nothing seems to work, nothing seems to stick. It's like I'm a failure. I do things and it just doesn't ever seem to pan out. That's because you're working for the brain. You're not working for your true heart's desire. Your true heart's desire holds the true purpose and your mission here. And this is something that heart math teaches the advanced people. The people have gone through the beginning process of working through the heart and want to go further and further. So this is advanced work. And I had offered this, but don't contact me to step right into advanced work. We have to do the other work prior. And you'll learn this as I go through some of the list here that I've written down of how can you tell that you're actually living and working in the fifth dimension. And I like to call it, we are ascending masters. So keep in mind of what an ascended master would do and how an ascended master would think and act to certain situations and challenges, and how did they get where they are. And that's exactly where many of us are headed. I think many of us are masters who are here, who have been in training. Remember, we said this planet is one of the, if not the most hardest planet to live on, and we experience such tremendous growth coming here. And so a lot of us who are here to embody an ascended master. Now, the one that I associate myself with the most would be Kuan Yin. She holds the energies of compassion and mercy, and I took some of her healing courses after I took my Reiki courses many decades ago. Yes. Oh my gosh, I've been at this a long time. So anyways, one of the things that would tell you, and these are going to be things that are different than what you normally would hear from other people who would tell you this. So stick with me here, people. This is really getting down to the inner work here, the mastery work here. And one of the things on my list is self-regulation. And this has to do with, think of the animals in the wild. Think of the animals in Africa, how they are so able to preserve and conserve their energy for when it's really needed. They have self-regulation, and you see pictures of pride of lions laying there sleeping. They're sated, they're not hungry, and there's wildebeest or impala grazing not very far away from them. That's because they all have self-regulation. They know when to expend their energy, their precious energy, and when not to. And most of us today, we are constantly using up our energy needlessly. And because when we do this, we expend our energy like that, it's very hard for us to do our inner work. We're just too tired. We're not connected to our heart. We can't make decisions. Our performance is very poor and very low. So we learn, fifth dimension, you learn about self-regulation. You learn when to use your energy and when not to use your energy. You learn how to live in the parasympathetic response, you resting and digesting. And so that's one of the things that an ascended master, someone living in the fifth dimension, knows and embodies is self-regulation. And we're talking about energy regulation and what our reaction to situations and what we're feeding the field. The other thing is resilience. Resilience, it's the same thing. We've learned how to use our energy and keep our energy batteries, our internal energy batteries, full and ready to go. And we always have energy at our beck and call. We're never depleted of energy. And so because our energy batteries are full and we have self-regulation, when a challenge or something comes up, we are so resilient to it. And because we're resilient, we don't get sick, we don't get colds, we don't get flu, we don't get diseases. We've learned to let just things fall away. I mean, people with their little problems don't bother us. We just learn how to be resilient to all of the things that are thrown at us on our daily walk. And it's kind of like, back in the day we would hear, what would Jesus do? Remember that, So yeah, what would the masters do if something was thrown at them? Think about that. And so, of course, heart coherence. They are in heart coherence. It is, their heart coherence means that they're responding and living and acting in an optimal fashion. Things don't bother them. They're regulated. They have compassion, and they're constantly alert and aware of what they're feeding the field. They're in contact with their heart. They are aware of their energies that they are expanding or energies that they're holding on to. Because they are in heart coherence, they know true care. They don't get into overcare to any situations. We tend to be in overcare about everything. this event. We get to be in overcare because I'm not feeling this. That person is talking about that, and I'm not feeling that. And we just tend to get way too involved in this. And we learn that we don't have to be so much involved and have so much overcare about something. We don't have to constantly feed the bum on the street, because actually the bum on the street really doesn't want to be bothered. He's living his life the way he chose. Sometimes this happens. And, people who are constantly pushing themselves and their agendas and what they know on other people, like I'm doing right now, that is a form of overcare. But for me, I stay detached. I am just the way shower. I'm the guide or the teacher. I stay detached from the outcome. It's up to you to do the work. I am just putting out the information. So it's up to you to seek this out and experience this further. So heart coherence also means you don't have a heart wall. So many of us have trapped emotions, and these emotions are trapped in certain areas of our body, and it's because of the traumas and the issues from our present life and our past lives. We tend to carry them over from our past lives and keep them with us, and it really stops us on our purpose, and it forms a heart wall. And so it's very hard to be in a state of heart coherence when you have a heart wall, and you can't regulate what you're sending out to the heart field, the electromagnetic field, and you're actually sending out negative emotions. And we know that all emotions carry a frequency, and a negative emotion carries a different frequency than a positive emotion. So these people have learned. I'm sitting on the floor here and my butt's falling asleep, so that's why I'm moving around. But so these people learn how to work through their emotions and release them, and they know how to work through their heart walls. And when you do this, when you have a heart wall and you have trapped emotions, basically what you're doing is you're squelching your true connection from spirit, you're from source, from God, from whatever you want to call it. You're actually squelching it, and the mind is taking over. So the mind is coming in with all their egotistical ideas and self-preservation ideas. And so you're really not getting information from the heart, from true source, from true spirit, from your higher and larger self. And my nose is running again as usual. So another thing that a person living in the fifth dimension would know is they know the difference between compassion, sympathy, and empathy. And sympathy and empathy, empathy is feeling. You're able to feel all the emotions that are out there. You take them in and you embody them, and you think that they're your own. A lot of us empaths, we deal with this, and it's really not a good thing to be taking on these energies, and it really can stop us. It's another thing that stops us. It quelches our connection to spirit. So we have to learn to discern between our own emotions and the emotions of the collective and maybe the person standing next. And so empathy, that has nothing to do with compassion. Sympathy is, sympathy for the bum on the street. Oh, that poor bum. Oh, he's living such a horrible life. Through your perspective, he might be living a horrible, horrible life. But that's your perspective. So you are sympathizing and you're projecting your perspective on that bum on the street. And that bum on the street might be very happy to stand there and panhandle for food or money. He has no connection to the matrix. He's out there living in the wild, and he's able to live in the streets. And if you're lucky enough to live up in the mountains where I live, at the end of the day, you can go crawl under a tree. I look at my horses every day and they say how lucky they are that they are not living in the matrix. They're not dependent upon what the matrix has programmed them to be dependent on. Yeah, they're dependent on us, but the rest of it, they're fine. They can live out there. They don't need a house. They really don't need a house. They don't need to consume. We are all consumers. And so compassion, you think of the ascended masters, what do they know differently than what we know differently? Is because everybody has their path. Everybody is where they're supposed to be. They're going through what they are supposed to be going through to learn and to grow. And the ascended masters knew this. Yes, we are here to guide and way show and extend a hand. Help your neighbor, yes, but we don't go to such an extreme where we are in a state of overcare, and then that overcare is draining us of our vital energy, because these people are where they're supposed to be. We cannot do the work for them. So many of us, like I said before, we want to do the work for them, and that is not what it's supposed to be. They need to go their path. They need to walk their walk. We can only guide and suggest and let them go from there. I've heard so many stories of people actually taking in some of these people, and it just turns out just, to be a bad thing. And that's not what it was all about. If they are asking for help and it's within our means, then do so. Give them $5 or give them a sandwich, or that's all they're basically looking for from you. So another one, let me see. All right, we have the constant connection to that sacred heart space. And so many of this is something that the Ascended Masters, and I think I've talked about this before, the Ascended Masters taught, and they know about the sacred heart space, the space in the heart. The doctors that the doctors accidentally found out about, they see the spiraling light within the heart, and they accidentally found out that if they cut it with a knife, it would kill that person. And so that's like the seed of your soul. That is your spark. That is where your energy derives from. That is your true connection to your God self, source. And that's where the Akashic records are. The Akashic records of the universe and of your records. That's where all that is stored. So when people are doing meditations, that's where they're going. But it is not a simple, normal, regular meditation. There is a certain way of doing this. It's called getting to point zero and then accessing the sacred space in the heart. And like I said before, many of the indigenous people, they teach this, the shamans, the medicine men, they all teach this, and they've learned this from the Ascended Masters. And it's where it hides your true purpose and your true mission. And it is advanced work. It is advanced work. So if you were to work with a heart math trainer like myself, this is part of the advanced work, and this is where you really access by doing this. You really go in. You can change aspects of your life to release old trapped emotions. There's so many things you can do there. It is where you really find out your true heart's purpose, not your mind's purpose, but your true heart's purpose. And this is where I connect with Kuan Yin and all of the other masters. This is where I connect with Gaia, because she's an Ascended Master herself. And last night it was very interesting because I had a long, drawn-out conversation with her, because after 2 months of no chemtrails, they started spraying us like crazy. And I was out there yesterday because I was feeling better. Yesterday afternoon, I was out there and I was doing my work. Come on, Gaia, we got to show them we're better than this. We don't want these chemtrails anymore. They can't spray you. They can't poison you, and they can't poison the trees and the animals. And I'm out there talking to her and talking to the elementals and doing my work. And and I'm beaming at the planes going, okay, this is like the Bermuda Triangle above Salida. If you want to spray, it's like going through the Bermuda Triangle. All your uh, control panels in your cockpit, they're all going to start malfunctioning, and you're going to have to abort the mission and go land. And I'm watching, and there was two of them that kept crisscrossing. And the more I would get these chemtrails to fry up and just fizzle, the more they kept coming. And it was really funny. So then I was like, okay, you're done. You just malfunction. And before you know it, they were out of here. So I thought that was really interesting. But I talked to her last night, and she said, that you're actually observing the 3D perspective, the 3D consciousness of the chemtrails. And as long as they look at them and they're frustrated and they're not doing their work, they're not doing their heart work and their ascension work, they're going to keep experiencing chemtrails. So you're just actually watching the 3D earth, my 3D self, and the people who need to still live out that 3D perspective and learn what they need to learn. You have to allow that. I was in a state of overcare. I was getting so frustrated, and I was losing a lot of vital energy because of it. And I had to look at it through the perspective of an ascended master. And that's exactly what the ascended Gaia was saying to me. There are those who still need to experience that. You need to show them compassion and allow, because that they are where you used to be, and you can remember what it was like, and they are learning and they are growing just like you did. So just show them compassion and just allow it to be. And so remember that because you're doing your own work and you are in the higher dimensions, you are a living embodiment of this dimension. It cannot harm you. You are just observing it. It cannot harm you, and it cannot harm my higher dimensional body. So it's like, okay, I feel better about that. It makes total sense, especially since I've been preaching about this since the beginning of the video of how to live like a fifth dimension person. Okay, so let's see what else. I gotta look on my list here. The fifth dimension person tends to look younger than their age. And it has nothing to do with being this extreme athlete. We learned that we do not need to be a muscle-bound track star, or we don't have to have muscle on muscle. We learned that we are more than our physical body, and we learned that we don't have to prove anything anymore by having this buff and strong and overbound. It's overcare. It's another state of overcare about how our bodies, it's our perspective of how our bodies are supposed to look. And so we don't need to be the person that runs 10 miles every day until their body actually starts breaking down. We've learned that, and we can actually regulate our body and become more fit and slimmer. I hate to use that word slimmer. Help me here. What's another word I'm looking for? But okay, so we tend to start to rejuvenate. We're rejuvenating, but we don't need to work. I used to cross train when I was in my 30s. I'd be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and this was in the late 80s, and I'd be doing the stair step thing, and I'd be doing the routine. And my dad was living with us at the time, and he'd get up in the morning and he'd walk through the living room, and I'm doing my thing. And then when I got home after work, then I'd be out there with my weights, and then I'd take my fast walk, and I would do all that, and I was just over consuming vital energy. I was not growing. I was not doing my inner work. I was not doing my inner growing because I was so concentrated on the outside appearance. So when you are embodying heart coherence, you are living like an ascended master, and you are learning how to regulate and be resilient, you start to naturally embody this rejuvenated being. You are the light starts to shine through you. I need to learn how to talk a little bit better. So we learn that how to, through energy management, we learn how to use, embody, keep more of the DHEA. That's part of our physical body. That DHEA is that youth hormone that's within us. So when we learn about heart math and we learn to live like an ascending master, we have a lot more DHEA hormone in our physical body than we do the cortisol. And we know what cortisol does to us. It ages us. It makes us become fat, and we start looking like the Pillsbury Doughboy walking around, and we're sick and we have no energy, and there's just no vitality. We can't make decisions. Our performance is low, even though we think it's good. It is not. And so yes, we start to look younger. I think that's really cool. So, like I said before, if you have a bad moment and you are not resilient and you have no self-regulation, and something comes up and you just fly off the handle, you set out that cortisol, and then you suppressed your immune system, and you can suppress it just from one little simple blowout for 6 hours. So if you have 3 of those a day, well, there you go, guys. So that's very, very important. So I think those were some of the things that I wanted to touch on. And I think they're very important, and I think once you've mastered those, everything else falls into place. You live more in joy, you live more in joy and happiness. It's all a natural state of living in heart coherence. Your relationships are better. You see people so much more differently. You see situations so much more differently. You see it by looking through the eyes of an ascended master. And so, you learn about your true heart's desires, and you learn what your mind desire is versus your true heart desire. And so you know what your higher spiritual self really has in store for you, and what's and has been waiting for you guys. So those are some of the things that I wanted to say today, as far as how do you really know you're stepping into that 5th dimension. And this is something that you probably haven't heard from somebody else. This is different than all the normal, you eat, you're becoming a vegetarian, and, all those things. This is something different. And so anyways, that's all I have to say for you guys. What is today? Today is March 30th. Friday, March 30th? Anyways, we're getting close to April, and things are warming up, and I'm really looking forward to getting outside and working with the horses and working with my clients. And so anyways, really, really take to heart what I talked about today. And if you can't do it, if you can't do it on your own, and you can't, there are no books out there. There's no book. Somebody asked me, is there a book and a website out there that I can learn all these techniques? I am sorry. And drum below Melchizedek, he is talking about this too. He talks about heart math all the time now, and he's actually teaching the heart math techniques, the advanced techniques. But no, there's no website. There's no books out there that you can learn this from. And this is because it it is really involved, and it really takes coaching. And there's a lot of things that we hold on to, and there's a lot of things that are still in their little shadow work. And you would be so surprised what you've been holding on to that you thought you got rid of. And the aha moments that come, and the layers and layers that we take away. And this is, there's work to be done before you can actually do the advanced work of, getting to that sacred heart space and working with the ascended masters, and embodying that and finding out your true heart's purpose. Okay, I think I said enough. But if you need help, connect with me. This is what I do. I'd be more than happy to help you. I can do it online, on the phone. If you want to come to Salida and spend a day with me, come and spend a day with you. I'll work with you for the whole day. You work with my horses. You work with this. It's very affordable. So just get a hold of me, and I'd love to help you out. So have a beautiful weekend, guys. We'll talk to you soon.